right, you guys. Looks like we were having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think we are good now. So hopefully we're live. I'm going to try pulling up my chat here and we will see what's going on. And we're going to hope for the best here today. But you guys, thank you for joining us. If you're here, all right, we are good to go. Got my chat ready. All right, there we are. Sorry guys, we were having just a little bit of technical difficulties, so we got started just a little bit behind here, but thank you for joining us. Welcome in. Let's see, we've got Diana and Joanna. I think it's Joanna from Jersey. So welcome in, you guys. Thanks for joining us here today. And we got Liz. Welcome everybody. Hopefully you are doing wonderful today. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Let me get resituated. Oh, you guys, I forgot my light here. Let me turn on my light, get a little bit brighter in there. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. So today, I've got a few nails already done, but we're actually going to be adding to this set. We're going to be creating a little bit more accent to these nails. So these are just going to be a few of our solid colored nails. And then we're going to be adding, not quite what I'm doing here, but we're going to be adding some fun designs on our nails today. And we're actually going to start by sculpting in a two-tone nail. So if we're wanting to do a French with our acrylic, that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, we're not going to be doing just a regular traditional pink and white. We're going to be doing a pink and I'm calling this bright peach. That's what we're going to be doing today. So let's go ahead and get started. Just shortened up my nail a little bit here. Anytime I am sculpting, whether it's with acrylic or hard gel, I like to shorten up that natural nail so it doesn't interfere with my form application, which we're going to talk about a little bit in just a second here. But we're going to go through and we're going to prep the nails first. We're going to push back that cuticle area. And when you're working on a full set, you want to go through, push back all of the cuticles. And while you're pushing back the cuticles, this is your time to be consulting with your client, talking about what service you're going to be doing, what colors you're going to be using, what length, what shape, all of those different things is stuff that you can consult with your client about while you are pushing back the cuticle. That way it's not going to be wasting any time. It's not going to take extra time. So use your time wisely. Now we're going to grab a brand new sanding band, and I always grab a new one, whether it's on myself, whether it's on a client, whether it's working on the trainer hand. Always make sure you've got a brand new sanding band for every service that you do. That way you're not working with a worn down bit like this, because once they wear down a little bit, they're not going to have the proper grit to do the work that you need it to do. And it can take a little bit longer for you to work if you're working with a dull bit. It can also start to create a little bit of heat if you're working with a dull bit. So make sure that you always have a clean, fresh, brand new bit. And there we go. Okay. So I've got my bit, I've got my E-file turned on to about 5,000 RPMs. I'm just basically going to make contact with my bit to the nail and then do short little strokes right up around that cuticle area to clean up that cuticle, clean off any excess protein growth that might be stuck on that nail. And then we're just feathering the bit through that natural nail just to gently remove the shine, break up the surface oils that are on that nail, and create a little bit of texture. So we don't want that shiny surface. We want just a slight texture to the nail. And that's all that it's going to take. It doesn't have to take a long time to do your prep and to clean up that nail. Okay, so I'm going to dust off my nail, just using my manicure brush, dust that off really nice and clean. And then we're going to grab our swipe. Now, swipe is our cleanser. This is what we're going to use to clean off any of those last tiny little bits of dust. You can see there's maybe just a little bit of dust still on that nail. So I'm going to pump that swipe into my manicure brush, and we're going to go through and we're going to give that nail a really good scrub. So not only is it going to remove the excess dust that's on the nail, it's going to help cleanse off any of the surface oils. We've got a tiny little bit of that natural nail still hanging there. Just want to grab that. So it's also going to cleanse that natural nail. It's going to get rid of any excess oils that are on the nail plate. And it's also going to help to take care of any germs or bacteria that's on the nail. We always want to make sure that we're starting with a nice, clean, dry surface to our nail. So this way we don't end up with issues like little green spots on our nails or anything like that. So you always want to make sure you're bringing that nail to a nice, clean, dry, chalky finish at this point. Once we have that clean, dry surface, we're going to use our protein bond. Protein bond is our bonder, and it works kind of like a double-sided tape. I always say it works either like a double-sided tape or an anchor. So it's going to adhere to that natural nail, but then it's going to leave a sticky surface for our acrylic to grab onto. And you can use this whether you're working with our acrylics, our hard gel system, our gel polish. You can even use it with our traditional air dry polish, but it's just going to give you a little bit better adhesion. All right, maybe a lot better adhesion, not just a little bit. It's going to give you a lot better adhesion. And when I'm working with enhancements, whether it's acrylic or hard gels, or even if I'm working with the full cover gel or the full cover tips adhered with gel, I like to use 2 coats of my protein bond. That way I know I've got a great even coverage over the whole nail, and I know that I'm going to get really good, a really good bond with my product to the nail. Now, we are going to be sculpting these nails out. Today we're not using tips. We're actually going to be building these nails on a form. So I'm going to grab one of my forms here. Let's tear that right off. And just going to kind of flatten that out. You saw it was on the roll and it had a little bit of a curve to it. I like to make sure that my form is nice and flat so that I don't have to struggle with that curve. So now it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. We're going to peel that form off that backing, and I'm going to take that little tab from the center. You can see there's that little center piece right in there. I'm going to take that little tab. I'm not going to throw that away. This is an important part. I'm just going to stick that right on the back side of our form. That's going to give my form a little bit more stability so it's not quite so flimsy feeling. So it's going to hold its shape a little bit easier. Now I'm going to take, you see there's 2 little silver tabs right on the edges here. We're going to fold that form. I'm going to keep it rounded through here. I'm not actually going to pinch all the way through. I'm going to connect those 2 tabs together so that they come together nice and evenly. So just pinching those 2 little silver tabs right together there. Now, if you're going to be sculpting a square nail, I would leave that end open. Let me come in a little closer here. So I would leave that end open so that you're going to have a little bit more of a straight form, more like a tube. If you are going to be doing something like what we're going to do today, which is more almond shape, you're going to pinch that form at the end. So that's how you're going to get a little bit more of that point or that almond shape. Okay. When we're doing our nails today, we're going to be working with not a short nail, but I'm going to say a short to medium length nail. So we're not going to be using the whole length of our form. So I'm actually going to pinch my form even shorter, and we're going to pinch, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think I pinched the rest of these up to the 4th line. So we're going to use that as our guide. So that's what these little lines are for. They're here to help you determine the length of your nail that you're creating. Now, keep in mind that every nail bed is going to be different. And so you kind of just want to use these as a guide. It's not going to be your end-all be-all. You're going to bring every nail out this far. Use it just as a guide and kind of a starting point, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pinch that up to my 4th line there. And then I'm going to open up that little perforation on top. That's going to help to give my form a little bit more mobility when I put this onto the nail. Now, when I do put this on, I'll show you guys here from the side. Take a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my form at a slight downward angle. I'm going to bring that right up underneath that natural nail. And then I'm going to lift that form up until it comes out nice and flush underneath that natural nail, and there's no gap in between here. Okay, now I want you guys to see something. Actually, let me grab my orange wood stick here real quick. Do you see how the light is reflecting right through here? That is my guide. Okay, see that little light reflection right here? That's my guide. So that's about where I'm going to be building out my product. That's going to be the lower arch to my nail. Now, you want to keep in mind that that lower arch should come nice and straight out from that natural nail. So straight out from back here at that cuticle area, all the way straight out through the point. If that form is not straight, or if maybe it's, say it's angled down a little bit, actually I'm going to over exaggerate this here. All right, now you can see that that form it's angled down a little bit, so that lower arch isn't going to be straight. You want to make sure that that light reflection is coming straight out from that natural nail. On the other side, you don't want that light reflection angling up. You see how now it's angling up? This is not going to give us the proper lower arch to our nail either. So that's why we want to make sure that we're keeping that light reflection coming straight out from that cuticle all the way through down to the end of where we're sculpting. That is going to be the line that we're going to follow. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Let me know in the chat. Put a little thumbs up if that made sense. I wanna see how you guys are. See if you're understanding what I'm putting out there. And of course, we got one little stray piece of glitter here. Don't know where that needs to go. And all right, so we've got that ready to go. We've got our form on there, and I'm just checking to make sure that my form is nice and straight. Just want to make sure. All right, you guys, I'm seeing some good thumbs up there, so that makes me happy that you guys are understanding what I'm explaining here for you. All right, so I know on our nails here we've got solid colors on that, but on our accent nail that I'm going to show you, we're going to create a French manicure. So I'm actually going to be using two different colors. We're going to be using our cover cherry blossom, and we're also going to be using one of our slick pour dip powders. Now this is actually a really ultra fine acrylic powder that we use for our dip system, but you can use it as a colored acrylic, and that's what I'm going to show you here today. Now, when I am doing my my two-tones, my French manicure looks, I actually like to build out a little bit of a free edge with my Speed Clear. And I'll show you guys in just a second, but I'm going to grab a few of my table towels. If you joined us here early, you saw me cutting these up. These are just the regular table towels that I've got on my table here. I just cut them up into smaller pieces just because it's easier for me to work with, and it gives me, you know, just a nice space to wipe my brush on. All right, I'm going to bring the camera out here just a little bit. So I've got my Dappen dish and I've got my brush. The brush I'm using is Greg's Signature Series brush, and this is a size 12. You see right up there, it's a size 12. And it's a great brush, whether you're a beginner, whether you've been doing nails forever. It is a great brush because of the shape of it, because of the bristles of it. You can pick up large pearls, you can pick up small pearls. It's a great brush for whatever you're doing. So we're going to start, and you guys, you can see in my Dappen dish, I've got a little bit of monomer. It was probably left over from when I was sculpting out these other nails. So I'm going to use one of my table towels. Always make sure that you're starting with a clean Dappen dish and that you are using clean, fresh monomer. Don't just fill your Dappen dish if there's a little bit of monomer left in there. It's going to start to kind of get gummy. So make sure that you're always starting with clean, fresh monomer. You can see there's a little bit of residue from that color that was in there, so I want to make sure again that I'm working with nice, clean, fresh monomer. And the monomer that we're using today is our traditional liquid. So make sure if you're using the traditional liquid with the pink labels that you're using the traditional powders with the pink labels, and you're not mixing and matching the extreme low odor with the pink labels. Okay, you guys, these two do not mix and match. So if you are working with the extreme low odor, you have to make sure you're working with the extreme low odor powders. Okay, so just make sure. I always like to point that out because I know a lot of times people want to use the extreme low odor, but they like the traditional powders, but they do not mix and match. So they're not going to work well together. So for today, because we're using a traditional powder here, we're using our traditional slick pour powder, we have to make sure that we're using our traditional monomer, okay? All right, so we're gonna pour our monomer out. get a little bit of our liquid in here, and I'm just going to touch my brush to the top of my bottle, and this way I can just pour that liquid right down the brush, and it's going to go right into my Dappen dish, and it's not going to spill, it's not going to dribble down the side of my bottle here or create a mess. So just another little thing to make it a little bit easier for you guys. All right. Looks like you guys are asking some questions about other videos here on our YouTube channel. You guys make sure to subscribe to the channel. We have over 3,000 videos for you here. So we've got a ton of education. So if you do have questions, you can definitely look up on our channel here and find all kinds of different videos to help you learn. All right, so what we're going to start with is our speed clear. So I'm going to build out just a little bit of an extension to our nail. And really what I'm trying to do at this point, if we take a look at the nail, do you see how the nail thickness is, it's a little thicker here, and then it kind of drops down to that form? What we're going to do is we're just going to build out a platform that is basically connecting to that thickness, and we're going to just kind of even off that free edge with that natural nail. Okay? All right, so we're going to pick up a small pearl of our speed clear. Now when we're working on our free edge, you guys, I always like to show this because it's kind of an important point. When we're working on our free edge, we want to make sure that our product is not running out of control. So if we were to pick up a pearl and just set that right down onto our form, you're going to see that that pearl starts to move pretty quickly. It starts to move right away, and it can tend to get a little bit out of control. It can feel a little bit wet. It can feel like just like it's getting out of control, and then it can also start to stick to your brush. So when we're working on the form and we're working on that free edge, what I like to do is I'm going to pick up my pearl, and then I'm going to take that pearl, I'm going to touch my brush to my table towel, and I'm going to drain out some of that extra liquid. What this is going to do is it's going to turn my pearl a little bit more into a clay form. So it's going to stay where I put it, but I can still move that product, I can mold that, I can manipulate that, and it's not going to run out of control. I'm going to have a lot more control by just draining out a little bit of that liquid. Okay, so when we're working on that free edge, when we're working on that form, we want to bring it to that clay form. Now, on our nail here, we're just going to be creating a shorter extension. We're not going to be going all the way to the end of the form, so I don't need a very large pearl. I'm going to pick up, let me see if I can get you guys into camera here. Yeah, maybe. All right, so I'm going to pick up, I would say, a medium to small pearl. So I'm actually going to, I'll show you this here. I'm actually going to tap the back side of my brush twice. That's going to release a little bit of that extra liquid, so then I can pick up a little bit of a smaller pearl and it's not going to be overly wet. Okay, so again, we're going to drain that out and then we'll go on to the nail. Now I do want to show you guys something really quick. This is one of my tricks that just really makes sense to me, and I think it makes sense to a lot of people. If you're new and you're still not quite certain on how to pick up your pearl and the proper consistency, if you pick up your pearl, within 1 to 2 seconds or so, it should absorb all of that extra powder. Okay, let me show you guys that one more time. So when I pick that up, whoop, you already saw it absorbed really quickly. Now, if I pick up a pearl, I'm going to just over exaggerate this. If I pick up a pearl and it has a lot of extra powder, do you see how there's all of that extra powder that's not absorbing? That is going to be way too dry on the nail. And actually, when you set that onto the nail, see how it's not even going to adhere to that nail? It's going to be too dry. So you want to make sure that you're getting a good consistency to begin with, and then you can drain out the extra liquid. Okay, so again, we're going to tap, tap. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce. And when you start, do you see how it's got a little bit of that orange peel texture? And then after a few seconds, it is going to kind of smooth out to more of that pearl look. Okay, we want to keep these things in mind as we're working, because that's going to show you what the texture is or the consistency is of your product. Now, when we're working again on that free edge, we're going to pick up that pearl. And again, I'm going to tap out that brush just a couple of times. I'm going to pick up 1, 2, maybe 3 small taps, and then I'm going to drain out my liquid, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to set that on the nail. Now, one other thing I want to talk to you guys about is the product that I'm using right now is one of our speed powders. So if you take a look at the cap, it says speed. This is a faster setting product, okay? We're also going to be using our cover product, which is more of a medium set. So the speed product is going to set faster than our cover product, okay? So keep that in mind. You're also going to have to keep in mind the temperature of your space. So if your temperature is a little bit warmer, your product is also going to set a little bit faster. If it's cooler, it's going to set a little slower. So kind of keep those things in mind as you're working and perfecting your consistency, okay? Now, again, we're going to pick up a small pearl. I'm going to drain it on my towel for just a couple of seconds, and then we'll set it onto the nail. And then we'll go ahead and press it out. And you guys, I want to show you one more thing. Whoops, my form just popped off there. As you're pressing your product out, let me show you one more time on a form here. So when you set your, and you guys, I want to show you this before I actually put it onto a nail, because it's going to happen quickly, and sometimes I don't always have enough time to explain. So when we pick up our pearl, and we set that onto the nail or onto our form. Again, I'm going to drain out that liquid. I'm going to set that onto my form. I'm going to just give my brush a quick wipe just to clean out any of that residue that may be in there. I'm not going through and just, kind of grinding away and removing all of that liquid. All I do is just give it a quick wipe so that I remove any extra residue that might be on my brush. Okay, so again, we're going to pick up our pearl. Drain out that liquid, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to set that onto my form, wipe out my brush. I'm going to use the body or the belly of the brush, that fat part of my brush. I'm going to use that to press out that product. Get it nice and even from side to side. And then I'm going to use more of the edge of the brush here to tuck in, and then press to walk that product up to the nail. Okay, it's going to make more sense once it's on the nail, but I like to show you guys these techniques before, because otherwise sometimes once I get it onto the form, I got to go. I got to make sure that product is going where it needs to go, and sometimes I don't have that much time to explain. So I just wanted to explain that to you before we start. So now you have a little bit more of an idea. And then we can go ahead and we'll actually apply this onto our form now. So I'm going to pick up our pearl, a little bit of a smaller pearl, drain that out for a couple of seconds. I'm going to set that right at the free edge, wipe out my brush, press that from side to side, press that product up into the corner, use the edge of my brush, walk that product up into the corner, press in with the edge of my brush. Now I'm going to press all the way back across the other side, tuck in on this side, walk that up into the corner. Press in on the side, walk that up into the corner. In on the side, up into the corner. Then I'm going to clean out my brush a little bit there. I'm going to just start to pull the rest of that product down the length of the form to the length that I want. Now I also want to make sure that I am keeping this very thin, especially at that free edge, because all we're doing right now is creating a platform. We're actually going to be putting our colored acrylic over the top of this, and if we create too thick of a free edge here, we're actually going to probably file off our color. So we want to make sure that all we're doing is making that as thick as that natural nail so that it just flows all the way nice and smooth and we don't have a ledge right here anymore, okay? So at this point, we've got our extension. We've got that created. You guys, I'm going to just rinse out my brush here. I had a little bit of product that was stuck to the edge of my brush, so I want to make sure I rinse that out. But we've got our extension built out. Now, when we are doing a two-tone, when we're doing a smile line, we're going to go back to our cover powder. And today we're working with Cover Cherry Blossom. And this is a beautiful opaque color. So it works really nice when you're working and doing your two tones or your French manicure looks, okay? Now, when we were working on our free edge here, we did drain out a little bit of that liquid. It's going to be a little bit different when we apply our product up here at the cuticle area. Up here, we're going to press that down. We're going to press out our cuticle area. We're going to angle the finger downward, and we're going to let that product flow, okay? When you're doing your smile lines, if you can get your product to do the work for you, things are going to be so much easier. So let me show you again what we're going to do. When we set our pearl down, we're going to pretend that this is our cuticle area right up here. So we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. This one we're not going to drain out because, again, we want that extra liquid in our pearl, okay? So what we're going to do, let me pick up one more pearl here. We're going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to look at that pearl, and just when that's getting to more of that, that smooth pearl look rather than that orange peel look, that's when I'm going to set it onto the nail. So I'm going to set it onto the nail. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure. I'm actually angling that finger downward, okay, so that my product is already going to start to flow down. What I'm going to do, I'm going to press from the center. I'm going to press, press, and then I'm going to pivot my brush. I'm going to turn my brush on the side, and then I'm going to press on that edge, okay? Same thing, I'm going to come back to the center. I'm going to press, press, pivot my brush, and press on the edge. And again, you guys, when we actually do this on a nail, it's going to make a little bit more sense. But now you can see that my product right back through here is a lot thinner than it is right in through here. What that's going to create is it's actually going to create a nice thin and tapered cuticle area. So I'm not going to have a lot of filing to do at that cuticle area. It's going to leave the bulk of my product right up in through here, right in my stress area. And by angling that finger down, it's going to start to already create my smile line, okay? So once I have my product on there, I've pressed out my cuticle area, allowed it to run. Now I can wipe out my brush, clean out my brush. I can use the edge of my brush to tuck in on the sides and start to perfect my smile line, okay? Now again, you guys, I'm going to show you this on the actual nail. The product on the form here is starting to set up. But you do have a good amount of time to work and to perfect your smile line. So that's what I'm going to show you at this point, okay? Again, I like to show you once and explain so that way you can see as I go, because it does happen quick here. So we're going to pick up our pearl again. We're going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. Actually, you guys, I think I need just a little bit of a larger pearl than what I grabbed there. Tap down my powder so I have a clean place to pick up. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to set that down, press that down, angling the finger downward, press, press, pivot my brush, press, press, pivot my brush. Now I'm just going to help to guide that product. I am angling that finger straight down, but just guiding that product into a little bit more of a smile line. And once it's stopped moving, I'm going to wipe out my brush. I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to use the edge of my brush to just tuck in on those sides, really creating that smile line. So again, just tucking in on the edge. And make sure that you're not pressing and rounding. I'm going to show you guys this in just a second. Let me get my smile line into shape. But when you're creating your smile lines, you want to make sure that you're not rounding the surface. You're not pressing out through the surface. We want to make sure that we've got a good amount of thickness all the way across the top. And again, just tucking in on those sides. And you can see that I still have time to work with my product. It's not completely set, but because I allowed my product to run and flow, it really did the work for me. So now all I'm doing is just basically coming in and perfecting that smile line, okay? So now we've got that really nice smile line. I'm just going to tuck in a little bit more on our free edge. Now, I want you guys to see something from the barrel of the nail. So if we look straight down, you can see it looks kind of chunky monkey, but I have thickness on the sides here. So I have thickness here and I have thickness here. I have not pressed that out. I haven't pressed over the top. And you guys, let me show you one more thing on a form so that you really understand, because if you don't sculpt in that smile line correctly, you're going to end up filing off the little corners of your color right down on those sides, okay? So I'm just going to over exaggerate this a little bit here. Let me grab another pearl. So when you're pressing and allowing that product to flow, so you're going to set that onto the nail, press out that cuticle area, allow that product to flow down the length of the nail. You want to make sure that you're not pressing and rounding over that surface here. You want to leave thickness so that we have thickness on the edges here, okay? I know a lot of times, if you guys take a look at this nail that has been filed, we try to apply our product so it's nice and thin and tapered on the edges, but when you are doing that smile line, you need to keep that thickness here and not create that rounded edge, okay? I hope that makes sense, because it really is important to note that you need to keep those edges nice and thick. Otherwise, you're going to end up filing off your color right down in through here, okay? All right. Now, at this point, normally you would let your nail dry, or you could just go right into applying your free edge color. But you guys, I want to show you something here. And I've got a little swap out nail, because this one is going to take a few minutes to dry. So I do have a nail that I've done already. So I'm going to take this one off. And I'm going to show you what you can do if maybe you didn't get your smile line perfect. So let me grab my other nail here. I'm going to take my form off. This one I did a little bit earlier. So this one is completely set. It is dried. So we're just going to swap this out so you guys don't have to wait and see. Basically watch paint dry here. Watch acrylic dry. So if you weren't able to get your smile line 100% perfectly straight, now this one is pretty straight. It's pretty even. But if you weren't able to do that, what you're going to do is grab a brand new 150 grit file, okay? I don't recommend taking off the sharp edges completely, but just go over that just really quick, just to lightly soften up those edges. Or if you know that you're not going to be filing on the skin, you can leave those edges, but we just want to make sure that we have a little bit of an edge here, okay? So if we need to, we can take that brand new file, let me come in a little closer, and we can go through and we can file in that smile line a little bit more. You guys, let me make sure I get a good angle for you guys here. There we go. So when you're filing, you want to keep your file straight up and down. You don't want to be angling it like this. You don't want to be angling in on the edge, straight up and down. And this is going to help to create basically a wall of your acrylic. So when you do put your other color on to create your smile line, you're going to have a really nice, sharp, crisp smile line. So coming all the way through, again, keeping that file straight up and down. We're not angling, especially around that free edge. A lot of times, or around that the point of our smile line. A lot of times people will angle their file down. So make sure that you are keeping that file straight up and down. I think, what is that, perpendicular? Yes, perpendicular to the acrylic. And this is going to help you to create that really perfect smile line. Do you see where all of that filing dust is? That's going to be your guide, and that's going to be how you're going to be able to tell if your smile line is nice and straight. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice is look at those points, those high points. You want to make sure that those high points are coming to the same height on both sides. If you file one side a little higher up here than over here, you're going to have one point that's higher than the other. And we want to make sure that they're nice and even, okay? So you can go through, once your acrylic has set here, and clean up that smile line, get a nice, smooth, perfect finish. And then if we take a look at this from the side, do you see how that product just drops down? Let me dust this off real quick, okay? You can see how there's that drop down with our product. We're going to now fill in all of this space up to here with our color, and then I'm actually going to seal it with our clear as well. But by having that drop down, that ledge right there, that's going to give us that perfect, crisp, sharp smile line, okay? Now, if you did do some filing, dust off that nail and grab your swipe just like we were using earlier. Take a little bit of that swipe on there. Cleanse that nail really quick to make sure that there is no more dust on there. And then if you had any natural nail showing, sometimes we have a little bit of that natural nail showing right up into the corners up in here. You can go through with one more coat of your protein bond, that same bonder that we were using on the natural nail. Use one more coat of protein bond if you need to. If you don't have any of that natural nail showing through, you don't need to use that protein bond. But just for a little added insurance, you can go ahead and add that on there. Okay. All right, you guys, as I'm getting my other color here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, join our community. So we're going to now be using, actually before I show you this, we're going to be using our Slick Pour powders. And the color that I've got today is Flower Festival, which I think is a great color for the summer. It is super bright, it is super fun, and it's got a little bit of extra sparkle to it, which you guys know I love my sparkle. So we're going to go back to our monomer, and we're going to pick up a small pearl of our color, and I'm going to grab that. And now this one is going to be just a little bit different as well. We're not going to drain out any of that extra liquid. This one we are going to leave a little bit more on that wet kind of a form. So I'm going to set that right down, and I'm just going to use the point of my brush to tuck that back up into the corners. Bring that all the way back up into those corners because I got a little bit of product on that sidewall there. Want to make sure that I clean that off. And again, just tucking that product up into those corners. Now, if you feel like maybe you need a little bit more product, you can grab another pearl, touch that up a little bit. I'll show you guys how to touch that up in just a second. But I'm just applying enough to get the color that I want. But I am leaving a little bit of space. Again, if we take a look from the side view, do you see how it still drops down a little bit? My color isn't all the way to the very top there. I am leaving that little bit of space because I am going to put a little bit of clear acrylic over it. When I'm working with my colored acrylics, I do like to seal them with the speed clear just to make sure that I'm not going to file off any of the color and I have good consistency with my color. And if you don't cap it with clear, it's not really the end of the world, but I feel like you get a better application. And I always also feel like it's going to dry a little bit faster when you coat, when you put a cover of that speed clear over the top of it. So at this point, I'm just grabbing a couple of small little pearls, keeping them wet, but just touching up and adding a little bit more color into any of those areas that maybe I need. Maybe I need a little bit more color. Maybe I didn't get quite as much coverage as I would like. Now, if you do get product up over the top here, you can see I've got a little bit of that color up over the top on the pink. It's okay, don't worry, because we're gonna file this nail, and anything that's up over the top here, even if I got a big blob of it right there, I probably wouldn't, but if I did accidentally get product up over that, that's all gonna file off in the finishing, okay? So at this point, I'm gonna grab my speed clear, and we're gonna just cap that free edge. So just that area that we've got that colored acrylic on. So I'm gonna pick up a small pearl, press, bounce, whoops, I had a little fuzz on my brush there. And we're going to pick up that pearl. I'm going to leave this one on the wet side. I'm not going to drain it out, but I'm going to turn my brush around. I'm going to set that pearl down, and I'm going to blend that back. Blend that all the way back up into those corners, right up into those edges. And then I'll turn my brush around, and I'm going to press the rest of that out and pull that all the way towards the end, capping all of that color. Again, any of that product that gets up over the top here is all going to file off, so we don't have to worry about it. Because we had that ledge of our pink here, we had that ledge, kind of that drop down, if we looked at it from the side, that product is going to go right up to that smile line. And somebody says that's a thick nail. At this point, it is a little bit thick, but I do like to build up that pink to make sure that I've got enough room to file and I'm not going to be filing out my smile line, okay? So I know you guys are probably thinking that it does look thick, and it does a little bit, but I promise you it will file out. But I have another nail that we're going to do another quick little swap out here because again, you guys, I know you guys don't want to sit here and wait for this nail to dry. So I'm going to just clean out my brush here real quick, and then I'm going to swap out for another nail that I did earlier before we started our stream here today. But I'm just going to close up my liquid, close up my powder, and I'm going to grab my other nail that I did. So you guys, you can see, I hold these both up together. These were done the same exact way, okay? This is just the one that has been filed out. I've taken down that bulk right through the center. I've taken down any product over the top of that nail. And now if we look at it from the side, you can see kind of from the side view, it does have that nice arch to it. So I took down that really high arch through here. And now we've got that really nice subtle arch. Okay, so we do go through and file to perfect everything. So just because it may look a little bit thicker in the application, it's okay. So again, we've got our two swapped out nails here. This one is filed out, and this one we just did that, that solid color and built that solid color out on this nail here. So we're gonna go through and now we're gonna add a little bit of fun to our designs or to our nails here. And really, you guys, this is gonna be a quick and an easy little add-on to your services. You guys, polka dots right now are so fun, so hot for the summer. So I'm gonna show you guys some fun polka dots. But before we do, we're gonna go back to our swipe. I'm gonna cleanse the nail one more time. So these two nails down here, we've got those completely finished with our gel top coat. The other two here, these have just been filed. So I finished filed these with my electric file, and then I finished them with my 150 grit hand file. And then, again, we're gonna cleanse our nails. We're gonna go back to our protein bond one more time. We're gonna add that on. I do wanna make sure that my nails are nice and dry before I add that. And we'll do one coat of our protein bond. And then I'm going to show you a couple of different options for your polka dots and a couple of different products that you can use, just depending on your comfort level, depending on what products you have on hand. But you guys, all of the products that I'm using here today are Young Nails. Our moderators have I think they have the link to our website there in the chat. If they don't, they'll probably get that back up in there for you guys. But we've got two different things that I'm going to show you. So we're going to use two different products to do our polka dots, and you can use whichever one is going to work better for you. So one product that we have is from our Mission Control Gel Paint Kit, and this is a gel paint. It does need to be cured in the light. This one is called Fizz. This is our white, and looks like I do need to give this one a little bit of a stir. My jar is getting a little empty here, so I'm going to grab my spatula and just give that a quick stir. Make sure all of the color pigment is mixed up. Get that in there. And then the other product that we have is one of our new polishes, and this is just an air dry polish. So Fizz was our gel paint, and Nerdvana is our white polish. So you guys, let me know in the chat. Do you want to see the polish first, or do you want to see the gel paint first? Let me know. I want to know. So I will do whichever one you guys want to see first. So let me know. But again, you can do either one. Either one is going to work just fine. It just depends on your skill, your technique, and the products that you have available. Now, if you are going to be working with the gel paint, that does need to cure in a light. And oh, you guys, a lot of you want to see the gel. Okay, we'll start with the gel, but it does need to cure in the light. So I do like to have my little touch cure light here. You guys have seen me use this many, many times before. I like to use this to just set my gel into place. So this way I don't have to be going in and out of the light quite so much. So this is just a quick way of freezing the product into place. Now, let's start on our two-tone here on our French manicure look. So again, you guys, so many different ways of doing polka dots. I'm going to just start with a really basic, simple design here for you guys. And I've got my dotting tool, and my dotting tool has a larger dot or a larger bead on one end and then a smaller bead on the other. Guys, if you don't have a dotting tool, grab a toothpick. Toothpicks can be a great nail art tool. And what I like to do with the toothpicks is sometimes if you're trying to use that toothpick with that really teeny tiny end, sometimes you only can get that really teeny tiny dot. If you're looking to create a little bit of a larger dot, just take an old nipper. Don't use a brand new sharp nipper. Just use an old nipper and just nip off a little bit of the end of that. And then I like to run that over my file just really quick to get any frayed edges. And then you've got a little bit of a larger dotting tool, so you can use that to create those little bit larger dots. So the more you cut off, the larger of a dot you can create, or again, using that small end, you can create those teeny tiny little dots. So whichever works for you. If you do have a dotting tool, that's probably going to be your easiest technique, but use whatever's handy for you, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do, we're going to do just a French manicure, a polka dot French manicure. So I'm going to start, and I'm using the larger end of my dotting tool. And we're going to just tap that or just touch that right into that gel paint. Now, a lot of times what I like to do, you see me, I actually use my nail as a palette, or if you have a little tile or a palette, you can use that to just dab off any extra, but that's also going to show you how much or how large of a dot you're going to be creating, okay? So I like to know exactly how big of a dot I'm going to create before I actually go onto the nail. So we're just going to start right in the center, put a little dot. And all I'm doing is I'm keeping that dotting tool perpendicular, so straight down. And then we're going to leave a little bit of space. We're going to create another dot. And you guys, again, I'm using the paint that's on my nail here as to kind of refill. All right, and notice that I go from the center and I go one side to the other side. That's how I maintain that proper spacing. And then now I'm going to switch to that smaller end. I'm going to take a little bit more of that gel, check my sizing here. I think that's about right. And I'm going to bring one more smaller dot right up into those corners, pick up a little more right up into that corner. We could do even one more teeny tiny, actually I'm going to check that one. I want just a little smaller right up in there. So a little more paint, check my size, and then one more. So just a super cute, really fun kind of a design. You could leave it at that. You could take even smaller dots and maybe fill in. I'm going to take a little bit more of that paint off. Maybe fill in with a couple smaller dots in between. Even maybe a couple smaller dots up in there. But just depending on what you want your design to look like. If you want to fill in a little bit more, we can create a little bit more dots right through that center area. So however you're feeling laying out those dots, just kind of filling in space. And I think I like that. So we're going to leave that as it is. I'm going to freeze this using our Touch Cure light. So I'm going to turn that light on. And I'm going to just give this a quick cure for maybe, I don't know, 10 to 20 seconds or so, just enough to freeze that into place. Somebody's saying with my hands being as shaky as they are, I wouldn't be able to do this. You guys, I actually do tend to get pretty shaky, especially when I'm doing detail work like this. But let me show you here. As I'm holding, I'm always balancing. So I'm putting some pressure in with my pinky and my ring finger. Put some pressure onto your own hand, and that way it helps me to really stabilize. So that way, you guys, I understand sometimes you do get a little shaky. Sometimes I also need to stop and just kind of shake out my hand, just relax my hand a little bit and take a breath, because sometimes just taking that little extra breath is going to help you to kind of stop the shaky shakes. So you guys, I understand, I completely get it. So, all right, let's go ahead and I'm going to do another nail. I'm going to put some polka dots on this one. This one we're going to do more of a full coverage kind of a look. So we're going to use on this one, I'm going to put my gel paint away. You guys said you wanted to see that first, so now I'll show you our regular polish. So again, whatever you have is going to work for you, but we're going to be now using our regular polish. And clean off my tile here. So I'm going to take, and one more time, this is Nerdvana. And I absolutely love our new polishes because they're very pigmented, but they're very fast drying. So you do kind of have to work a little bit quicker. So now on this one, I'm going to do full coverage. So I'm going to use that larger end. I'm just going to make sure that's nice and clean. And there we go. Now you guys can see. So we're going to tap down into our polish. And when I'm doing full coverage, I like to start right in the center. That way I know my design is going to come out even. And then just depending on what you want your design to look like, we can go, actually you guys hang on a second. I think I'm going to change this up just a little bit. So if you don't like it, give it a quick swipe off there. Even maybe if you need to use a little bit of polish remover on there, cleanse that off quick. And then let's go ahead and go back. So one more time, I'm going to start right in the center and pick up a little more paint. I'm going to leave a little bit more space in between there, and then one more right at my cuticle. And pick up a little more paint, and then one, and one more at the point. So by starting in the center, you're going to get a little bit more even placement, okay? Now, on my next ones, I think I'm going to switch over to my small dotting tool. And now I'm going to go to basically the next step over here, and I'm going to put a dot basically right in between those two. Okay, so down the side here, but in between. So this way, again, I've got that proper spacing. So I use those dots as my space. Okay, same thing on the other side. Use those two dots as my space. See, you guys, now you can see I am starting to get just a little bit shaky, but that's okay. Okay, now I am going to switch back to my larger dotter just to get a little more shape. Oops, a little more polish on there. Actually, guys, I think I'm going to add a little more polish on here. It is starting to dry, but that's okay. And again, right in between. So those larger dots right in between. I think that one needs to be just a little bit bigger. All right. Right in between. And again, just dabbing. All right. So we've got our full cover polka dots. We've got our gel with our French manicure look. Do you guys want to see? You guys want to see one more? Let me know in the chat. You want to see one more, or do you think you like how we're looking here? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Because I've got so many different options for you guys for polka dots. It is so much fun. You can do so many different fun things with them. And yes, more. Okay. All right, you guys. I'm going to let this one dry. We haven't top coated either of these yet. Now, I do have top coat on these two. So normally I would do my polka dots after the nails have been filed and cleansed, but just so you guys can see a couple more options, I'm going to go ahead and do over the top coat on these. So let's do, oh yeah, all right, we'll just stick with the polish that we've got here since we've got that out there. All right, so say maybe you have this design on a French, but maybe you want to do something kind of a French look on the solid color nail. Let's start with that larger dot. I'm going to come right in the center of our free edge, and then I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to continue up the side here. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. So you could do that as part of a design or just the whole design. You could continue up the other side. 1, 2, whoops. Let me try that one again. And again, you guys, sometimes it's okay. If you have a dot that you didn't quite love, just give it a quick wipe and start over. So let's do this one again. We've got 1. Actually, I'm going to turn that nail a little bit on the side so you can see a little better. so I can see a little better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you're going and dotting, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller because it's taking that paint off of the dotting tool. Okay. Now, again, you could leave it at that, or you could do another large dot from the center on the top. Let me do a little bit more polish here. Large dot in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, they got a little bit larger as I went here, but that's okay. You get the idea. So you could do more of an outline with your polka dots. So again, just outlining that whole entire nail. So as we're working here, all of these different options are coming together as a fun full set. And all right, you guys, let's do one more on our last nail here, just so that last nail doesn't feel left out. But if you wanted as a full set, you could leave just one nail as a solid color, and that would work just fine. I'm just trying to think how I want to top coat these, but I do want to top coat these. So we're going to go ahead and use just our regular air dry polish on this one as well. If you want to do, you guys, there's so many options, so many options. Yes, somebody says ladybug. Yeah, you guys, if you did a red acrylic underneath here, you could do that full coverage and create a cute little ladybug design. Absolutely, that is a great idea. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so I might show you two different ones on this one, just because it's going to be fun. So if you want to do maybe a design where your polka dots are going from largest to smallest all the way down the nail, start with your dotting tool, get that large pearl right at the top. Yeah, let me get a little bit more here. Large dot, and then just go all the way down the length of that nail. And again, those dots are going to get smaller and smaller as you go. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to create lines all the way down the length of the nail. So as you're going to go all the way from that top of the nail all the way down, you're going to get those smaller, 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 all the way down the nail. Now you guys, it looks like I kind of missed a few of these here. Didn't get all of the polish on there. So it's okay if you need to go back and touch up anything. Go ahead and do that. Not a big deal. Just do those little touch-ups. So that's kind of a fun way to just have those dots just progressively going from larger to smaller. One other fun option here. I'm just going to cleanse these off with a little bit of polish remover. One more little option I'm going to show you, and then we'll finish up these nails. But you guys, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Keep getting free education. Keep having fun with us. But one other fun design is, we're going to start again with that large dot. And I'm going to start in the center. And we're going to go all the way back to that cuticle area. Same thing here. We're gonna, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3 dots. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3 dots. And then I'm gonna just do half of this nail. So we're gonna do another one from the center. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3. Oops, maybe a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna switch over to my smaller one, and we're gonna do 1, 2, yeah, you guys, I went the wrong way. That's okay. You get the idea. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, right there. So you could do just a half of a nail. So all kinds of different fun things that you can do with polka dots. Just start to play around with your colors, with your dotting tools, and just have some fun. Now you guys, these two last ones here, I don't think are completely dry yet, but normally I would say you could put, let me grab my top coat here. Over the polish, I would apply just the Young Nails polish top coat. On this one here, actually on both of these, I'm gonna go ahead and put our gel top coat over these because these are, oops, you guys, I forgot. This one was our gel. So this one was our Mission Control gel paint. So that one I am going to top coat with a gel top coat. And this one was the polish. So you could use the Young Nails polish top coat, the air dry top coat, or you can use the Ultimate Finish. You can use the conversion gels, but whatever top coat you want to work with, as long as those polka dots are dry, it should adhere just fine. So I'm going to work with our Ultimate Finish top coat, and we're going to seal these in. You guys, one more time, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and then make sure to start the top coat chant in the chat. And while you guys are doing that top coat chant in the chat, I am going to finish polishing our top coat. If you are new to our channel and you're not sure what that top coat chant is, just follow what everybody else is doing. It's really just typing in top coat, top coat, top coat into the chat, and that's just kind of our fun way of finishing up our nails. And I am going to pop these into our light for, it should go in there for a full 60 seconds. When you're working with that Ultimate Finish top coat, that does need to cure for a full 60 seconds. But because you guys are sometimes impatient, and I don't want to make you guys sit here and wait, I'm just going to freeze this into place for just a few seconds so that it doesn't move, and then you guys can see that final look to our nails. But do make sure that you are curing it fully for 60 seconds. But the nails are now cured out, so we have our fun polka dot designs for the summer. You guys, hopefully you will have a lot of fun doing your own polka dot designs. If you do, make sure to post your pictures on your social media. Make sure to tag Young Nails so that we can see exactly what you are doing. But you guys, let me know. I want to know in the chat, which one is your favorite? Do you like the French? We're going to call this number 1, the full coverage number 2, the outline number 3, or the half number 4. Which one is your favorite? I want to know. I would love to hear what you guys think. But you guys, thank you all so much for joining us here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend that's coming up. We will be back live again on Monday. Make sure to set your notifications. Make sure to subscribe so that you always know when we are going live. And looks like a lot of you are choosing number 1. Let me move that up so you can all see that. I think number 1 is my favorite too. I think between number 1 and number 3, that outline, I think those are my favorite. So you guys enjoy the polka dots. Have a wonderful rest of your week and a great weekend. We'll see you back next time. Thanks, everybody.